All right, let's call to order the Board of County Commissioners meeting for Monday, September 22nd, 2025. Roll call.
Commissioner Salee.
Here.
Commissioner Dunkerley.
Here.
Commissioner Sims.
Here, first item on the agenda is going to be announcements. Just want to let everybody know who's here for the public hearing on the zoning 566 rehearing. If you could come forward, put your name, address, phone number. Just want to make sure we get everybody who's here for questions on that. I'll call for it again when we get to the item, but just want to give you a heads up if you want to ask a question. Have a sign-up sheet for you. With that, any directors have any announcements today? Kathy with HR.
Two quick announcements. The health fair is coming up the end of October, and the portal is now open for employees to sign up for their PHA appointments. So please pass the word along. It's in the pipeline today for instructions for signing up for the health fair, for your flu shot, and also your blood work and all of that. It'll be a really good event this year. Also, we're looking for our chili cook-off is mid-November, and we're looking for chili chefs. So all you chili chefs out there, we're looking for you. So please let Jerry know. And happy fall.
Very nice. Thank you, Kathy. Matt, Parks, great event this weekend.
Yeah, busy weekend, very busy weekend. So Monarchs was great at Chandler, served roughly 800 cars. We looked at car count versus people count, just easier to keep track, frankly, for our Parks team as we're looking at keeping score. We had the ITA at Case this weekend, so worked alongside University of Tulsa at serving collegiate tennis in town, so that was exciting. Had close to 60 matches over the past 2 days there. D3 Highways has been helping support at LaFortune. We've got a big undertaking over there right now with some stormwater maintenance, so we appreciate Highways and Alex's team and Ian on their support with that. What this weekend did give us is it gave us some IT issues and gave us some building issues with 3 to 5 inches of rain amongst a couple of facilities. And appreciate Ronnie and appreciate Dan's team for stepping up and helping support those issues. We're working through some of those still this morning. Next week, we got Homegrown Hughes, got some arts and crafts going on at South County. Excited about that. O'Brien's hosting the Owasso Cross Country Meet this weekend. And then we've also got Badges and Barbecue out at Chandler in the lower level. So that'll be the first event there at the lower level as we work towards continuing to provide an exceptional event with our friends at the city as well as the county for Crime Stoppers there. So busy weeks, busy parks are good parks, and I appreciate the support from all you guys.
Outstanding. Thank you, Matt. Any other announcements from directors? Seeing none. Clerk Willis?
All well.
Commissioner Duncan?
Despite the rain and a little bit of wind, all is good in District 3.
Awesome. Commissioner Salee?
Yes, sir. I want to remind everybody, Tulsa State Fair opens up this Thursday.
Right.
So please come by the fair, and Sheriff will be there with his whole department taking care of all the attendees. And we appreciate everybody's 1,100,000 people will be here in the next 11 days. So it's a busy place. So looking forward to seeing all of you there. Thank you.
Outstanding. Well, I do have one announcement. Most everybody will notice I've got a nice new scar on my nose today. And I'd like to say it was because we had some very tough negotiations on Friday with the mayor about the new homeless shelter that we're working on. But unfortunately, it was a nice little love bump headbutt from my grand dog, Moose. So that's his thing. Yeah, I mean, and he got me. He got me good.
Love that.
Next item on the agenda is going to be a proclamation. This is a great one, recognizing the Day of Opioid Awareness and Action for Substance Use Disorder in Tulsa County, urging all citizens to join in efforts to close the treatment gap and foster a healthier, more supportive environment for the county. I think we've got a lot of the awardees here today. If the secretary will read the proclamation. Georgianne?
Whereas substance use is a pressing public health challenge, with nearly 1 in 5 adults estimated to have substance use disorder. Therefore, raising awareness about the impact of opioid misuse and uplifting those in or considering treatment is a priority. Whereas research indicates that approximately 77% of residents in need of treatment for substance use do not receive the necessary help, creating a critical gap in our community's healthcare system. Whereas it is estimated that nearly 15,000 people in Tulsa County have an opioid use disorder, yet only half of them receive medications for opioid use disorder, the gold standard for treatment. Whereas effective upstream prevention and strategies, particularly among our children and youth, are essential in addressing the root causes of substance use. Whereas it is imperative that we unite as a community to turn the tide on behavioral health challenges, ensuring access to treatment, support, and prevention resources for all residents. And whereas we recognize the importance of raising awareness, advocating for increased funding, and implementing effective programs to support those affected by substance use disorders. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Tulsa, Oklahoma, does hereby recognize a day of awareness and action for substance use disorder in Tulsa County, urging all citizens to join in efforts to close the treatment gap and foster a healthier, more supportive environment for our community. Proclaim this 22nd day of September 2025.
Very good. Congratulations. Hey, Robert, if you'll come forward to accept this proclamation, and we invite any of the grantees that are here with us today to come up. I'd love to get a picture with everybody. So thank you. Congratulations. Robert, I'm going to give you the proclamation.
Yeah.
This is great.
If you can't see the camera.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. See you.
Yep. Congratulations.
Hey,
You bet.
thank you,
You bet.
Casey. Appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, do great work. Really appreciate you and what you do in the community. Thank you. All right, with that, the next item on the agenda is going to be the minutes of the Board of County Commissioners meeting for September 15th, 2025.
Motion
Approval.
second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerley.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item number 6, reports to accept and file. We have one here for county departments monthly for August 2025.
Motion to accept and file.
Second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerley.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Unfinished business. First up, we have bid awards and recommendations. This is park requests 1 and 2.
Move to defer 1 and 2.
Second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerley.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item B, amendments. We have 1 through 4 here. If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the amendments.
Second the motion.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerley.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Next, item C, we have discussion of the Clydesdale project tax increment district proposal. Any further discussion from the commission?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I placed this on the agenda. I appreciate a lot of people here in the audience. I've had a chance to talk to a number of people in the last 2 weeks or so, that's very helpful. And but still learning some of the details, and I thought it would be, a project of this size, this type, nature. You put a ledger down, and there's things that seemingly are on the plus side, and there's things that seemingly on the minus side. And as we, as a commission, try to weigh all those out and figure out the best path forward, I just thought it would be a good idea for us as commissioners, since we don't get to talk with each other at all, unless we're in a public meeting, that we could exchange some ideas and perhaps flesh this out a little bit more from our own perspective and what we see as the pluses, and maybe we can identify possible minuses and ways that we might be able to address those. So that's what I would like to do. I entertain any questions or thoughts that my fellow commissioners have. I know Commissioner Slee served on the recommending commission, so he has perhaps a little bit more viewpoint to share, and I look forward to hearing a little bit about that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Commissioner Salee?
Oh, sure, sure. This, certainly was a 11 board member panel from CEOs across the taxing entities, from the health department, library, Tulsa Tech, the county, and many others, school district of Owasso. And so, yeah, we had 4 or 5 at least public meetings that certainly was on the county's website, where we invited the public to come and work with the committee or hear the results of what was being discussed. I know there was at least 2 public meetings that PSO held, and then the developer also had an additional one that we had quite a few residents attend and comment on it. And but this was the end result. What is in front of you, or for next week for the hearing, is the end result of the negotiations with the committee as an entire board, with the developer and the end user.
Yeah, I would just like to add to that. We had a great initial round when this came through in the zoning and plating. Appreciate everybody's patience through that. Appreciate the developer, all our community partners that came, and engineers involved, and I think we had 3.5 hours of question. Almost 100 people came forward to ask questions with the public to get accurate information, because I think that's the key when we have these. I know when we consider this portion of it, now we're looking at a tax incentive district. There's a lot of numbers that come forward. Appreciate the work of the committee and the community partners that were involved with that to kind of vet this out and get it to a point where it comes before us and in a way that is fairly easy to understand. It's still a lot to consider. Is this competitive within our region? Is this similar to what we're doing? It looks like it is. Is this similar to what incentive packages are offered in other states? That's some information that I know our Office of Government Efficiency and Transparency has been working on, and received some information from him. So I appreciate his work over the weekend. David Tackett, you in here? Right here. Yeah, David, appreciate you doing this over the weekend to get us some additional information ahead of next week's meeting that we'll probably have some questions we need to visit with a little more. But, overall, I've been very impressed with the amount of information that's been provided to this commission, the responsiveness of the developer. We had a meeting last week where we had some great questions that were asked, and we got I believe about a 6-page response to every question that was asked. I thought with some very good data that we could, better understand, and hopefully the public could better. I see you out there, Joe. I know I sent that out there to you. It was a lot of information for all of us to kind of go over, but I appreciate that. And I think we need that level of transparency within the community when it comes to these kind of projects. We got to get them right. I think everybody sees the national news that we got to compete nationally when it comes to China and these other countries. If we're going to continue to lead when it comes from an economic standpoint, but more importantly from a national safety standpoint, we've got to continue to improve our technology and stay ahead of the game. That doesn't mean we don't vet these projects and make sure they're what's best for our community. And so I appreciate everybody kind of coming to the table, public, partners, everybody kind of working together, and appreciate your work here.
Yeah, I agree completely with Chairman Sims. Just there's a big environment out there. This is part of that environment. This is a topic that's close to some people's attention. We had a long meeting with zoning, and zoning's one thing where we look at zoning and we look if it makes sense in a particular area, what's it next to, and all the different landowner considerations, and we've been through that. We're gonna work through the plat. That's details about the plat, details about where pipelines go, et cetera, utilities. I think we're gonna get through that very well. What I'm focusing in on is the not dollars and cents, the incentive package, and that's gotta make sense for the entire county from my perspective. And again, Chairman Sims totally right. There's a lot going on here, and it's a big issue, but definitely we're going to vet it from a local standpoint, no question about it. And really, what I'd like to explore a little bit is the county's portion of this incentive package. I understand there's a lot of different entities involved, the taxing entities, and there's definitely some pluses, maybe a few minuses with some of those elements of the incentive package. I understand those, and I understand why there's strong support for this project. From the county standpoint, I think the treasurer said a few things last week saying we'd like CPI attached to the county's portion. I think that the county's portion could have been a different number. I've been told that this is a non-negotiated package at this point, that it's kind of a take it or leave it. That doesn't sit well with me. It may be the facts and the reality, but those are my feelings, and that's why I wanted to discuss this with the commissioners tonight, or today, and wanted to see if there's more that we could talk about. Specifically the road, I want to say 86th Street North. It's a big project. It's been slow for who knows about 15 years. We're behind on a lot of projects. I'm not sure that this incentive helps us. We'll put it this way. I'm not sure this helps us speedily address that. It might be something that allows us to address that road in 8-9 years. That's a disappointment to me. With a project of this size, I think we might be able to speed that up. That's my observation. I would defer to the commissioner from District 1. This is in his district, so there may be things that I don't know about on that project and elements of this incentive package that I haven't quite absorbed yet.
Yeah, the road improvement was something that was a hot topic with the residents that came and voiced their concerns about traffic concerns on the project. This is a 2-mile road project that Tulsa County has committed 10 years ago, I think, something like that. And I'm going to refer to Alex Mills, our county engineer, and Kirby Crow, the manager of the Tulsa Vision. And that's part of the discussion, is that was something that was important not only to the residents, assuming that it was coming, but Tulsa County hasn't delivered on its promise. And we had to, due to the sales tax, inflationary causes, we had to split the project up from a 2-mile project to a 1-mile project. And so one was on the front end and one was on the very back end. And so this would at least provide funding for the one on the front end that really relieves the tax burden from the taxpayers. You know, you have a private entity going to fund a road project. So it's a huge win for the taxpayers. Although we committed, we just don't have the sales tax revenue that we need to expedite these projects. So you know, this project in itself is not going to happen overnight. You know, it'll be, if all 4 facilities are built, it will be over 8+ years. And so this is an opportunity to at least address that mile section in front of that facility. That and Alex, if you want to give some input, or Kirby, on the time frame of that front end projects that is directly associated with this facility between Memorial and Sheridan. Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
So the situation, you know, 86th Street North was always one project. And as we've struggled with the Vision Tulsa funding in terms of having enough tax revenue to be able to afford to do all the projects that the county committed to, we decided to split this project into 2 different pieces. just to allow one piece to get built within the funding timeframe that we have. From a traffic standpoint, from a neighborhood standpoint, what I'll call the East Mile, or from Memorial to Sheridan, was certainly the higher priority from that logistical standpoint. The West Mile from Sheridan over to 75 certainly needs to be done, but was not as high a priority. And so, looking at the Vision Tulsa funding from projections from Kirby, which I'm not privy to the background information, I only get the results of his analysis. The West Mile was not going to be done within the duration of the Vision Tulsa funding. That and a number of other projects on the Vision Tulsa plan just don't have any funding projected to get them done. So while I have not been involved in any of the negotiations on this TID and don't have any of the details there, from my basic perspective, being able to afford to do one of the projects that we would not be able to do otherwise certainly is a good thing for Tulsa County. Can't speak to the negotiations, wasn't involved in any of that, so I can't address that part of it. But I'm not sure that answered the question, but that's the limit of what I know.
Yeah, you bet, Commissioner.
Thank you, thank you.
Just based on your knowledge of how this incentive is structured, and maybe your discussions with PMG, when would we be able to bid this project with this new arrangement that may be adopted?
Looking at the documentation I have from PMG, they show we would be able to afford the second phase. Looks like in the fiscal year 29-30. Is that correct, Kirby?
Depends on some sequencing and the availability of advanced funding with the TID revenue. Ideally, would do both segments together. Alex and I have talked about that because there's economy of scale there. It also depends on when the right-of-way comes in on that west segment, because with this project, you'll get that mile of right-of-way associated with it that we would have to purchase otherwise. So there's still a lot of variables on there. It could be faster than what we show. We've got the east mile segment based on cash flow to follow with when we have the cash built up for it, and we've been monitoring that and reporting that for quite some time. But we think they can go both together and possibly a slight acceleration.
But probably not both together without this funding.
Without this funding, no, unless something else was in another district or districts was delayed.
Yeah. And that was the whole intent, knowing that was on the minds of the taxpayers, the people that live in that area, and the growth that's happening there. It's becoming more problematic, and you know, the county has committed and just can't deliver. And this was a tremendous opportunity to ask a Fortune 100 company about infrastructure around their project, and which they agreed to do. Is Lauren Harvey here?
Yeah, I see Lauren.
Lauren, you know, they were saying that maybe 29, possibly sooner, that we could start on construction, possibly, or letting that out. What would be your time frame if this thing tracks on out, as far as when would the first one be completed?
Yeah, so we're looking at the first phase, and this $500,000 a year payment is tied to that first phase to be completed in 2027. And so immediately after that, I think that would be January of 2028 is when that payment would first be made, and then annually for 25 years thereafter. I can't speak on behalf of the county. I know we discussed this, is the ability to bond those payments out and then help bring that funding forward. So, and we did, look at what the cost of that road improvement was and match that a little bit above it, actually, to come up with this $500,000 a year number.
Right.
And intentionally put it at phase one rather than spreading it out across all phases so that it would hit the tax roll earlier.
Great, great. Thank you, Lauren. And that's something that, I reached out to Kirby and Alex both to kind of show the end user the actual documentation. It wasn't just my word. They wanted to see the cash flow of this project and how it was laid out on a Gantt chart. And And was what our hope is, if in '28 we get our first payment. Well, if construction is going to potentially start in '29 or maybe sooner, but '29, '30, we would be prepared to start that project pretty soon after the first phase. And then there's potentially 3 more phases after that. So, this road will be completed probably before the second phase is constructed.
Hey, Lauren, hate to call you back up, but you brought up something that, I'll be honest, I'm frustrated, like Commissioner Dunkerley, when it comes to that this money is dedicated to that area, that is, we're not gonna have the ability to use it in our districts. And I kind of push back on that as well. And probably the response that maybe, had me accept it a little more was where it came about. And it came about out of the public meetings.
Yeah.
And I think this was the developer's specific request that this money has to be used here because it was specifically aligned with what the public was asking for. I think it was a top question in all those meetings.
Absolutely. It was a community-driven response, 100%. Much of the residents live in there's a number of housing development projects on the northeast corner of the site coming off 86th Street. And so that was driving a lot of concern as to how narrow that road was, not in great shape. And then how can we improve that given that there's going to be this big project right next door to it? And we thought this was an opportunity to address those concerns.
Follow up on this is the 500,000 that's committed in the incentive package is tied to the first phase. So we don't have any guarantees there'll be a second phase or a third or a fourth. So this could be all that there is. And just going off of experience, because even commissioners have the ability to learn. Even commissioners. These big projects, they are stalled for decades because of things like this. We have uncertain revenue streams. We have multiple revenue streams to try to cobble together a Frankenstein situation to build one of these projects. This is a $12 million road project. It might be more, especially when you count inflation, which has been pretty significant lately. And so I have my doubts that this actually gets us to the point where we can bid a project, and the public should know we cannot bid a project until we have all the money in the bank. We can bid it out, bond it out. Of course, that's more expenses, it's more interest rates. It's just, so, I feel like there's some room that we could have had further discussions, but we never had any as a commission about what we would want. And I'm gonna stop here because I know we have another meeting. I just wanted to flesh out a few things. There could be other things that people want to say, but the taxpayers, the revenue stream, and it's been hard to get an estimate going on. Assessor's office can't really provide the right type of estimate that we might want. There's other people looking at it, but there's a lot of revenue that's being taken off the table as opposed to what's being put on the table. So is this a good deal for the county as a whole? That's a question. It may be. I'm not saying it's not. It may be. But I think the other taxing entities, my understanding of their situation is this is a good deal for them. I understand that. I'm just not sure it's a good deal for the county and our responsibilities. And I'm open to learning more, meeting more, and there's more for me to learn, and this is not a final thing. I thank the commissioners for their thoughts this morning, and thank you for your time this morning on this topic.
Thank you, Commissioner. I did have one more question, Commissioner Salee. I know our treasurer brought up the CPI indexing, and, I know we're sitting at the 1%. I understand not wanting to tie it to the CPI. It's like an adjustable rate mortgage. It's hard to plan that out. But did we ever discuss a higher percentage? Was that ever?
We certainly did. The committee as a whole, made up of all the tax entities and business leaders and people within the data center business industry, we certainly did. We proposed 1.5%. And, it's my understanding and working on this project that they try to be consistent with all the other data centers throughout this region. And this is spot on with all of the other taxing entities or projects with Clydesdale, the Stillwater, the Muskogee, and Anthem in Tulsa County, in the city of Tulsa, had 0% increases. So this is better than some. You know, it's all regionally competitive. You know, you can go in other parts of the country where there's no tax abatements whatsoever, but this isn't one of them. And and how we compared with the other entities in our area was pretty favorable. We have one of the best packages, as the committee agreed to submit before this board.
Very good. And I say it because we did get some new analysis, and we're still kind of ferreting that out with respect to one up in Kansas that definitely has piqued my interest. So it'll be good discussion next week. Appreciate you bringing this forward, Commissioner Dunkerley, and appreciate the commissioners' candidness on this. So thank you both. And with that, we will, if we're good, we'll move forward with the agenda. Next item is going to be action items. First up is request for approval. We have 1 and 2 here.
Move to approve.
Second.
Salee,
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item B, resolution. This is inspections request.
Move to approve the resolution.
Second.
Salee,
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item C, agreements 1 through 5.
Motion to approve the agreements.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item D, inventory resolution, DA request.
Move to approve.
Second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item E, sole source, county clerk.
Move approval.
Second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item F, utility permits, engineers request 1 and 2, Cox Communication, 1 gas.
Move to approve.
Second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item G, travel and training, BOCC request.
Motion to approve travel training.
Second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item H, claims.
Move to pay the bills.
Second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item I, blanket purchase orders, emergency purchase orders.
Move to approve.
Approve.
Second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item J, consideration and approval of construction program payments. First up is going to be Vision 2025, A through C.
Move to approve the payment.
Second the motion.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Item 2 is going to be Vision Tulsa County, A and B.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Next up is item K, juvenile detention home update to accept and file for September 10th through the 17th, 2025. Director Parker,
Morning, Commissioners.
good morning.
We put our tablets into full operations last week, and I'm really, I don't even want to say this because I'm scared I'll jinx it, but you can hear a pin drop in there. You know, other than the construction work going on. So I'm hoping it's a continuous thing and not just a new. We've had no disciplinary issues since we implemented those. So I'm hoping that's my continued report. Staff seem to be in favor. We're allowing the juveniles to use them only after they have completed their schooling, their physical programming, their mental health programming, but the rest of the evening, they're using them and you can't hear them. So very, very proud to announce that, and want to pay kudos to the commissioners for support of that moving forward. We started our meetings on our CIC. We met with the City of Sand Springs, who was very favorable in the recommendation of pay as you use. They were also thrilled at the fact that if the kid rolled into detention, that we felt that was a service provided by the community, and there'd be no reimbursement for that. So we're going to continue with those meetings. One of the great discussions that happened with the City of Sand Springs was that they asked about the potential for doing opioid testing. for the kids, and we'll look at that and have some discussion on it as we move forward. So, thank you.
Thanks, Director.
Motion to accept and file this most cheerful report.
Second?
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Next up is the zoning application hearing, possible action, TMAPC CZ 566, owner Spring Hill Farms LLC, location more generally and better described in the agenda. Request to rezone 38.48 acres from AG to RS1 for single family. For those who weren't here previously, we had a Scrivener's error in the agenda, and so it's good to see this corrected. And with that, is anybody here from me?
Motion to go into public hearing?
You bet.
Second.
Salee.
Yes.
Dunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes.
Sorry.
Anyone here from INCOG?
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Kendall.
Morning. CZ 566. Again, this is a rezoning request to rezone 38.48 acres from AG to RS1 for a single-family half-acre residential subdivision. That's the minimum. I believe these lots are all going to be larger than a half acre, so I just want to make sure I address that. This was heard in June 18th, 2025 meeting at the Planning Commission, voted 6-2, and recommended approval for the lots to be zoned from AG to RS1. Happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Kendall. Any questions from the commissioners? I'll open it up to the floor. I've not seen anything on the sign-up sheet. You got one? Jason Morgan. Good.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Here, Jason.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I'll try to make this as brief as possible, but as you can imagine, living directly across the street from this is something we're very passionate about. I do want to call something to your attention regarding the Glenpool 2030 Comprehensive Plan on Land Use Development. As you can see here, here's the current zoning that they propose to maintain at least through 2030, which everything in green is the agricultural areas. The green dot is the proposed rezoning area. As we talked about last time, everything within this area and south of the river on Lewis for a 3-mile stretch, there are no other developments except for the one just to the south there, as you can see, in which it has been made totally different than what is being proposed here as it relates to landscaping, viewing, and guaranteed half-acre lots. With RS1, while it is saying it will be half acres, RS1 only accounts for a quarter acre, which is a typical city lot, which is nowhere near what an agricultural area development would be. Within the Glenpool, which is where this is at, 2030 Comprehensive Plan, it talks about elevating character in land use planning. A character focus highlights the range of settings in which land can occur with communities, the most rural to the most urban. Community character accounts for physical traits one can see in the area and contribute to its look and feel. A character-based approach focuses on a broader conception of development, intensity which encompasses the density and layout of residential development, the scale and form of non-residential development, and the amount of building and pavement coverage area relative to the extent of open space and natural vegetation or landscaping. In this combination of basic land use and the characteristics of that more accurately determines the real compatibility of quality development as opposed to land use alone. Aesthetic enhancements such as the design of buildings, landscaping, screening, sign control, and other amenities contribute to the enhanced community. And I mentioned that just because, I mean, Commissioner Salee, you mentioned last time that you all really try to account for the character of the area when approving these. And again, I'm not looking to deny the development going in. I believe in American free capital enterprise and providing opportunities to others to live out in rural America, in which, you know, zoning this an ag or an AG1 even would still allow that. And that's all I'm asking for today, is that that be maintained. We know that there will be, and this is nowhere near a data center situation, but at the same time, this is a part of Tulsa County, and it's important to the constituents within that area. We also know that there will be major infrastructure degradation to the street that's already occurring. Brian, as we mentioned, does a great job and his crew over there. But we know that with hundreds of drivers on this in a day, that's going to be added and further degrade the road. You know, the other thing I do want to mention is that Bixby, the city of Bixby, recently denied another development on their side within the county due to these same issues. I'm not sure the amount of diligence that occurred from INCOG. I appreciate all that Kendall does. He did mention that he had not visited the area to see the character of the area as well. You know, and I think, as I mentioned before, this is obviously very personal, impacting being directly across the street from my house with dozens, if not hundreds of cars coming in. This will create a nuisance to me and my family. As defined by Tulsa ordinances, a noise injures or endangers the comfort, repose, health, or safety of others. I realize headlights shining my house is not a huge thing, but if there was an individual shining lights in every single day, I would be calling the authorities and reporting the nuisance, which in this case, the nuisance is being provided by the developer, not by hundreds of people, which again, I'm not opposed to that. Happy to answer any other questions you might have regarding this.
Commissioners, any questions? Yeah, Commissioner Dunkerley?
Could you say a little bit more about your experience with the roadway and the, I guess, proposed roadway that's going to come out and connect to the road right across the street from your house? What's going on there? And maybe our engineer will say this, can speak to this. Is there anything happening there that you believe shouldn't be happening per the permitting process already?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I didn't mention that. I think there's some other pictures you can scroll through. If you go one more picture across, I'm sorry. Let me mention this real quick. This is the other development. As you can see, you can only see one house from the road. So I just want to mention that. And the current plans, I can throw a rock across from my porch and hit the property right now for the first house. If you go on a little bit more, so that's that neighborhood, and one more, and keep going. See, they've taken out all the trees. Here's the amount of silt that's currently occurring. I know we talked last time about inspectors coming out and taking a look at that. There are a few silt screens, nothing to keep that from coming across. My pond was actually, Oklahoma red dirt red after the last rain. So I think, it might be, worthwhile if DEQ or someone else getting involved there, which to me is just, asking for prudency as it relates to the developer and the construction there. As it relates to the road, there is standing water. I provided that last time in the pictures that, within, standing inches. The roads are degrading as they're falling off. This is a very hilly area as it goes through there. So there's actually slopes where the construction team has tried to build that back up, but it's continually sliding off. And so my concern from an infrastructure perspective, that will continue to happen. What actually ends up occurring because of the patchwork and the adjusted elevation, cars kind of swerve back and forth. And so that's one of my bigger concerns outside of the stormwater runoff as well.
Thank you. Alex?
Thank you, sir. I hear those concerns. I think one of the ways we can help mitigate those problems is by insisting on, which we have done in writing to the developer, to the developer's engineer, that they have a second active entrance that comes from the back part of the subdivision down to 171st Street. I think we recognize a lot of the traffic out of this neighborhood would probably be of the commuter type, which would tend to go 171st Street over to 75 to downtown and other areas. That would give it multiple options and distribute some of the load of the traffic onto two main arterials rather than all onto Lewis. So I've stuck pretty firm on that. I think I'm going to get pushback from the developer, but I think we have some really good reasons why we would insist on that permanent second entrance being built day one.
Are you unaware, are you aware of any other things, silting, other activity on the site that not been properly permitted?
They have all the proper permits, and after our last meeting, I contacted Teresa Tosh with inspections and made note of the concerns of the residents, and I believe Teresa and her team have been out, but I can't speak to that directly, but they said they were going to get out and make sure that the silt fences and other erosion measures were in place. I would say that with the kind of rain we had over the weekend, you still might have some issues, and hopefully that's all we're addressing here is that we just had some really excessive rains, but I'd leave that to Teresa, and I'll reach out to her after this meeting. Is she here?
So actually, I made a request as well, and I was told I'd get a follow back because they asked me if I'd like one. I've not received one yet.
Okay, well,
You did say you did request
I did
one?
call in, yes.
Okay,
okay, I'll follow up with Teresa's team after the meeting.
sounds good. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm good with the public hearing if we want to close that and go back in. I'm not comfortable with going forward with this, but we can move forward with the commissioner's discussion.
Okay. Any further questions from the public? Got one more. Yes, sir. Brooke Morgan? Okay.
It's my husband. I'm not the professional speaker, and I'm probably going to bawl. But one thing I wanted you guys to hear is on 151st Street, they're having problems with traffic. Like a kid was killed 2 weeks ago in a car wreck because there's so many people being added to that area. And they are working on adjusting those things, and I know that's not anything to do with this spot, but you add that many more people to it. And Bixby's seeing this, like crossing the bridge. Everybody's just moving that direction. Mind you, I get why people want to move that direction. It's beautiful out there. But as we put in more and more homes that are compacted, the beautiful is gone. And we've worked our whole life, and here I go. To live in the country, we've worked hard, saved our money hard for this land. And when we moved there, we knew there was land across the street from us. We knew that it was agriculture. We knew that somebody else would go in there and get the chance like we got to live in the country, but still work in Tulsa. But as we move these people in, you're taking that away from every kid that wants to live in the country. Every kid to get that chance. You just keep moving us further and further out. I just ask, please know that we've worked our whole life for this. Our neighbors have worked their whole lives for it. There's land all behind us, and it's to be developed as 4-acre lots. And I just ask, please keep that continuous of how much land's out there, what the feel is out there. You'll notice on Lewis, there is no neighborhood on Lewis from 171st to 131st, not one neighborhood going there. They are keeping, and I took videos and I would have made you guys look at 100 pictures, but as you drive down the road, you will see everybody is about, I would say at least 100 yards off the road. Every home is back, there's trees surrounding. It's just that way. You go right across the street from us, which used to be just all trees, is now completely bulldozed down, cleared. And it's not anything like the area it was. It's now trying to make it more cement. Also, if you look, they said there's another neighborhood very close within the acreage. Well, if you go back to 171st and go back west, there is a neighborhood there. And I think if you see in the pictures, not that one, sorry. It's gonna be the opening to the neighborhood, a neighborhood. There. So the house you're seeing over there is not part of that neighborhood. But if you look at the greenscape, they've tried to make it and keep it the same feel. Yes, there's new places going in, but they've tried to keep that same feel. You have no clue when you drive down that road that there's a neighborhood there. Now, right across the street from there, from the neighborhood, is where they're proposing putting the other exit of the neighborhood. That's going right between two farms. People that have worked their whole lives to have those farms. I understand change needs to happen. I understand that money takes over everything, but it's like, look at the lives these people have built and have tried. And now just because one person wants to come in and make extra money, they get to take away what we've worked hard for. I just ask, take in consideration what we've worked hard for, what other people can have of the agricultural life.
Thank you. Alan?
I'm Alan Betchen. I'm with AAB Engineering, so civil engineers and surveyors for the project. I'm completely sympathetic, and I hear the concerns. I mean, as you do as commissioners from whenever they're adjoining development. I stress the fact of we're closer to 1 acre per lot whenever you look at the overall development on this. So 108 total lots proposed on 98 acres. That is an incredibly low intensity development compared to what you would see really in most other parts of town. This isn't out of keeping. Just to the south, there is a half-acre development. And trust me, I know that development is because there's a creek. That's the only reason the houses aren't right up against the road. It wasn't an aesthetic issue. It's literally a drainage issue. And this site will have a detention facility right up against the road, built into as part of the entry and the amenity associated with it. So on one side, it's very much still green, open space, not a house right there. Just to the west, it's developed in the same half-acre pattern, probably more dense, no, definitively more dense. this is in keeping with what the development patterns in all over rural Tulsa County that we've seen and that we propose. It's definitely, these aren't low income. This isn't a nice, an area that's not going to get established as, these are $600,000, $700,000, and $800,000 homes that are getting built. So this isn't a degradation of property values of the surrounding pieces. And just like that, owners around this tract was originally bought by a developer for development. Not the one that's developing it now, but it's actually the same owner of the one who did that neighborhood to the south. So there is I'm sympathetic to land rights, but there is a land rights issue with the associated parcel. And we're not talking, this is the neighbors that we're talking about are across an arterial street away from the development. This is a pretty light touch for the neighborhood. I think it's something that is very much compatible given what's happening and what's continuing to get pressed through development patterns in that area. The infrastructure is adequate for it, and we'll certainly work through all the other issues with engineering as we go through and try to get to the a final project that can get approved and that engineering in the county approves and signs off on the end. I'm happy to answer any other questions or specific concerns about the project, though.
Alan, can you speak to the entry feature? You mentioned there's a detention, it sounds like a detention area. Is it going to be a detention pond?
Yes, sir.
Or?
Yes, sir. It'll be a wet facility on the south side of the entry, immediately adjoining the arterial right-of-way. So after,
Okay, right.
it's exactly the way I would put it is after the math works with the way we were running the drainage before, but out of an abundance of caution, we added an additional detention facility along the east to mitigate the increase in runoff concerns. So that was specifically in response to what we heard at the Planning Commission and what we've heard at this commission's meeting. So we're trying to be as respectful as we possibly can to the neighborhood, but there's an existing of, hey, we don't want anything. That doesn't conform to what we're trying to do. So there's a binary place in that where we're trying to be respectful. We're trying to give them an entry and a feel that's respectful to the area.
Is there any other screening or fencing?
So
Particular to their.
he was planning ranch rail along the front because it is a nice feature for a detention facility, a wet facility with a pond, and then the entry feature for the subdivision on that side. Yeah.
Yeah, with respect to their property, what's?
It's a single house that's going to be oriented to the south. So it's not going to be facing them. It's not going to be overlooking them. It is a single residential house that would be on the north side of the road along that arterial.
Directly in front of our home.
With all due respect, it would be the exact same way that you could build if there was only one house being built right there on that development directly across from it. So that's not a vast change from what it could be done today.
Is there
under the
any reason
existing.
why it couldn't be one acre tracts?
Let's let Alan speak.
My answer is there are 108 lots proposed on 98 acres. That's the total development from one edge to the edge that goes over and brings into the second. That's what is currently proposed.
Any questions from the commissioners?
No, I don't have any more.
Yeah, when you take off your detention facilities and your green spaces and right-of-ways and all that, what is your average square foot per lot?
I honestly can't tell you what it looks like whenever you look at the green space in the middle. It's going to be close to 3/4 of an acre because there's just not that much right of way. But I haven't done the math of deducting out that. We look at it in aggregate.
That's a true reflected square footage of
Yeah.
what the lots are.
So you'll have lots that are at a minimum. I want to be very clear. You'll have lots that are at the minimum or very near the minimum half-acre size.
50%?
I would tell you, well, for what I think the intent of the question is, like if it's 6/10 of an acre and under, yes, that's a fair statement. Because I mean, how many of them I'm hitting right at a square at a half acre is very. Does that make sense? I'm not chasing math, but I'm trying to be specific and not distort. So 6/10 of an acre and under, half, I would say yes, sir. I think that's a fair statement.
And the others are just from 3/4 acres
To over an acre. In the backside, it's getting there's a couple of 1.5, 2 acre lots that are proposed on the backside. There's a pretty good sized existing pond that's being regulated and turned into a detention facility in the middle that takes out green space. There's not a lot of arterial right of way associated with this. So whenever you're talking about like maybe those corner pieces where it blends down because we take out so much, there's not much. There's very little frontages on both sides, frankly, for the development.
Would there be an opportunity to look at, at your lot yield on, you know, maybe expanding some of those frontal lots, you know, as you go into entering into the subdivision and making them some bigger lots? I mean, you're still gonna have the traffic, coming and going. You're gonna have to live with that all over the county in that area. Cause it's gonna continue to grow. We've got the same issues up in Collinsville, you know, and Owassa's dealing with it also. But, it's just the aerobic systems are getting you a higher yield and I believe you, your value is not going to be going down. There'll be very big houses, but can there be some softening on the front end approach? But few of those lots that don't make it look as dense that might be from the road.
Yes, I mean, the answer is yes. We're happy to look at whatever development considerations that are associated with the plat that we can to work that. I'm always hesitant to say, I mean, what is it, some softening? And, you know, I mean, it's a quantifiable thing that I'm trying to chase of, hey, I want to make sure that I honored the request whenever I came back to you and said I did what you asked me to do. So I'd want it to be somewhat tangible, if that makes sense. So if it's, hey, we wanted the first lot that's directly across from them to be a minimum of an acre, sure. If that's the condition that we want, that's easily, I can say that without question or reservation.
I don't want to mandate to the
But does it-
developer, because I respect his investment as well, but you know,
Yeah,
be
this-
creative and
So-
can we look at that?
One of the things I would tell you about this is because of the nature of the way that lot sits, we're terracing these lots up as they go to the west. So you've got some larger lots that are sitting there because by its very nature, I need to step up as we go west. Kind of like, I'm trying to think, some of the stuff that we've done up at 106th and Memorial in that area at the Meadows and Forest Bend where you have terrace lots coming down, something similar to that, but probably more terraced. So it has a pretty, from a development standpoint, as a guy who's done a lot of these, it has a pretty impressive entry going up because of the way the houses present and what you have coming off of it. We have a single road loaded with 2 lots on either side. So the density that's being pressed up against the arterial is pretty minimal. I would say as minimal of any development that I've had, because there's just not a lot of frontages and opportunities for us to have lots up against the arterial. They're really tucked back in there.
Commissioner?
I do have a follow-up on this point. Being creative, like Commissioner Slee's talking about, and I'm not sure this is within our wheelhouse here. It is when we were back in our municipal days. But is it possible to consider a PUD approach to this development? Where, I mean, we have kind of a blunt instrument before us. It's R1 or R2. You know, we don't have the ability to kind of codify some of these things that we might wish to bring to the table. Is that a possibility? Have you done that in other areas, or am I out of scope here with county zoning regulations?
So the county zoning does still afford us the PUD as an option for a zoning case. From my perspective as a guy who puts them together in a lot of places, in a lot of different, we didn't approach this as a PUD because we thought this was a relatively clean development pattern, and we were being respectful of what was around us. Always subject to everyone else's interpretation, but that's why we didn't propose a PUD. That's why staff didn't recommend a PUD, and that's why Planning Commission didn't require one for their favorable motion. That said, if there was, I mean, we can certainly look at going back and doing that. That's not a simple process at this point. It's a referral probably back to Planning Commission, then bringing it all back through to logistically make that happen would be what I would say. And I'm not saying no to that. I can also tell you that whatever the commitments and requirements of this commission, there is still a final plat that has to be approved and signed off on by the county engineer and ultimately by you as planning commissioners. And I can say that if that is a condition that is required of the plan of the commission, we will honor whatever those requests are in that plat. I'm happy to say that with 100% comfort and authority, because I don't want to be the guy who came back to you later on, you remember, that didn't do what I said I was going to do. But I would prefer that over the process of taking us back to planning commission and going through that, but I would defer to the.
I think that's where we're kind of at with Alex and his requirements, kind of same scenario.
Yeah, one more question, Alan. So you've got the pond on the south side of the entry drive, correct? Do the elevations work to where you could, rather than have that pond be kind of, I'm going to say fat on the south side, can you narrow it and have it be a frontage and use a pipe to connect the two to give the entire frontage of Lewis a pond?
Maybe. It's close. I mean, that's
Well, let's
something
get it there.
Yeah,
Come on.
it's something we'll certainly look at. We're already doing a combined, because of the way those culverts come in and where the entry is relative to the crossing culvert. We're bringing them in and doing a single exit laterals. It's possible, and we'll certainly look at that from a hydraulic standpoint. The one thing I don't want to do is make two insignificant and meaningless ponds on both sides instead of one that was substantial and actually carried the merit of what we wanted to do. But we're happy to look if that is the direction to do. I mean, the goal here is, hear me say, we're not trying to, we truly want to try to honor the area, and I think that we are.
I think if you could make that happen, it would have more of a look similar to the one on the south side of 171st that, while doesn't avoid the development, certainly gives it a softer look to the nearby residents and people driving by. So
we'll certainly.
Thank you.
I think we can. It's a hydraulics thing, so it's really hard for me. From the engineer part of me is telling you, don't say something you don't know you can make happen. But the answer is, I'm relatively certain we can make those hydraulics happen, and we just have to work through the hydrology and hydraulics with the county engineer.
Yeah, it sounds like we have a county engineer that's willing to work on that as well. So.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the commissioners? All right, let's, any other questions from the public? I'm gonna go ahead and close the, yeah.
I just want to first apologize for the interruption back there, and thank you so much for your time. Just, if you can keep in mind, if you do deny this request today, the developer can still move forward. There can still be a development there with no issues, and it'll be appropriately to the character of the area. Just want to keep that in mind, because it's not, as he mentioned, it's not binary. We welcome folks out there. We welcome neighbors, but it's of the right size and type within the character.
Very good. Thank you. Let's close the floor at this point. Any further discussion from the commission?
I make a motion, we go back into regular session.
Second.
Salee,
Yes.
Sunkerly.
Yes.
Sims.
Yes.
As far as action items, I think there's more work to be done here, more room for conversation. I'm comfortable with being involved in those conversations directly. Usually by experience, both sides are equally unhappy with a compromise, and that's probably where this may go, but I'm not ready to make a final determination myself. I'd rather defer this if we can for 2 weeks, but I'm not ready to say yes, that's where I am on this. I just think there's more work to be done. We had a split zoning commission vote on this, and it's my understanding from Alex that this particular development has been on the books in one way or another for how many years? Okay. I respect that time is money, and we want to be business friendly. Property owners have rights, and I respect that as well, but I think we do have a little bit of opportunity to work on this more before we make a final zoning decision. That's my take.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion?
Make a motion to defer this
Yeah.
item for
Clerk
2.
Willis, hang on, just,
If I might just add, to defer this would essentially mean we would need to advertise and do a public hearing again. Would there be the willingness for us to forego the public hearing again and just bring this back up as a
yeah, I would think so. I
decision
mean,
item?
Yeah.
I'm
think-
comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think we met the public hearing requirements. I think this is more a matter of some of the issues brought forward in that discussion. Give us time to kind of vet them.
Just want to make sure Georgie has
Yeah, that's a
clear
great,
directions.
I'll
Great
clarify
point,
my
Clerk.
motion is to defer this item for discussion and possible action by commissioners for 2 weeks from now.
Second.
Salee,
Yes.
Dunkerly,
Yes.
Sims.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is going to be executive session. This is DA request by Andrew Higginbotham.
Motion to go into executive session?
Thank you.
Second.
Salee,
Yes.
Dunkerly,
Yes.
Sims.
Yes.